Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to go over why I think most people out there are sabotaging themselves when it comes to achieving their goals. And the reason why I say this is because I know I was making this big mistake while I thought I was improving and getting closer to my goal, and it was actually the thing that was holding me back the most. Okay, firstly, if you like videos like this that just include improving your lifestyle, your standard of living, and overall happiness, then I'd urge you to consider subscribing. While you're at it, hit that notification bell. That way you're notified each and every time I post a video. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump right in. So what do I mean by this big mistake when it comes to manifesting or visualizing or dreaming about your future, planning it out, living in the future, trying to see what life would be like and what kind of life you would like? Now, while I think all of this is good, I've always been someone who's future and goal orientated, to the point that I spent too much time focusing on the future and living in the future and always trying to chase the future. But for the most part, what I found that this left me in a spiral of always just wanting to absorb more and learn more, which is good. But there comes a time when it gets out of hand, and over-consuming, whether that be on social media or whatever, over-consuming leaves you with one big lack, and that is the lack of action, right? I would hear all these tips that I could see myself implementing to help me get closer to my goal in whatever aspect of my life it was. But I would take that, and yes, I'm going to implement that nugget, and I'd get a nugget there, and yes, I'm going to implement that, and none of those nuggets ever get implemented. And I have a graveyard full of nuggets, but none of them really ever used. Why? Because I just chase the satisfaction of finding the next best thing that's going to work before even giving anything else a go or implementing anything else effective enough, or even starting to implement it, or doing it long enough to even see any results. So what did I do to sort of hone in on this process to make sure that I am future and goal orientated, making sure that I know the direction in life that I want to head, and I can steer my future to the extent of the control that I have over it, of course, without just letting life pull me in whichever direction the flow goes, right? So what did I do? What's my recommendation? Well, firstly, is this future or this goal that you're trying to achieve, you need to first think long and hard. Is it something that I truly want? And what I mean by that is, a lot of the time we find that we have all of these goals. Most people have more than enough goals. We can list them all out for you. All the things that we want, right? All the things we want out of life, but most of those are not actually things that we really want. And why I say this is because we have a finite amount of resources, time being the most important of them all, right? We have a finite amount of that. And there's only so much things that we can fit on that list to get in everything that we want. So we can't actually get everything that we want. And when you look at it out of that perspective, then your list gets shorter. You know, you don't get the wants, you get the needs. And it needs to be a need. That way you can do it on a consistent basis, even when you don't feel like doing it. So that's the first thing. Is it something that you truly, truly want? Then if that is the case, you could find yourself stuck with being paralyzed, like not knowing, what do I do? Which direction do I move in? There's so much fog, there's so much information, there's so much to start with. Where do I begin? Well, then you're in the right place, right? So what I would recommend then is take one big step. So take your goal, whatever aspect this is, take that goal and dig deep and ask yourself, what is the one single biggest thing that I can start doing that will get me closer to this goal? And what I mean by is not like get 50 clients, get never miss a day in gym or whatever the case may be. Nothing like that. More so something that can be implemented into your routine. Some small little act, some mundane, some task, some small task that can over time have a ripple effect, right? Nothing too big. No wild goal or statement that you're not going to be able to achieve. Okay, so take something small like that, slot that into your routine, choose a time and place that works best so that you set up to be most successful to do this, and work on that. And then limit the amount of time in a day that you're actually consuming content, right? Well, try and keep a handle on it. I myself need to keep tabs on that at times where I know that I'm over consuming, and that can be a problem, right? Because we just never act on any of it, or we never have the time to act on any of it. So limit that time, and as you find those nuggets, I would take note. Find a place where you can actually put these ideas safely, so that you can actually come back to them when you actually want to start implementing. It's easy to see something and, oh yes, I'll remember that, and out of mind, out of sight, it's gone. So that's my recommendation to you. Limit that time so that you leave enough time to act. Because manifesting, visualization, dreaming, all of those things, planning, I feel like that's only one step, and it's the step that everyone gets stuck on. We need action, but we need planning and visualization and knowing the direction that we're moving in. So planned action to a destination. So action, that's the key. That's where most people lack. Most people don't lack in dreaming and visualizing and living in our heads and living that ideal fancy life that we all want, whatever it may be. I say fancy, but it's a relative term, right? Like just our ideal life that we see us living, that we visualize us living, right? So take that first step, and you can keep growing on that. Don't try and find the perfect routine. Don't try and find the perfect tip. It doesn't exist. Take something that you know you can work with and mold it as you go along. Mold your routine. You'll find what works for you, and you'll adjust as you go. But you have to take the first step. You're not going to get everything perfect before starting, before beginning. So that's my advice for you. That will alleviate most of the fog and at least allow you with some direction so that you can start getting that momentum going. Because once the momentum starts, it just gets easier and easier from there. Start small and stick to it. Sustainability, that will just win over time. If you liked videos like this, then I would urge you, hit that like button, because that just helps my channel. Also, consider subscribing, because look, I post videos daily. I will see you guys tomorrow.